Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of Golden Era.
In conversation, my guest is an actress who's a legend, whose career has spanned 48 years, as she just pointed out to me, and she's worked with the who's who of European cinema, has won more accolades than I can count on this program. I'm delighted to welcome Jeanne Moreau.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You've been to India thrice. This is your third visit
Yes.
To India. What is your impression? How do you respond to Indian cinema and the changes you might have seen in the last decade or so?
Well, I would lie if I'd say that I have a great knowledge of Indian cinema, because in Europe we see few of them, and each time I came here it was for work. The first time, it was in 1981. I was working on a script with a man who directed a film many years ago called Conrad Roots. He had directed Siddhartha with Shashi Kapoor. So we worked on the script and we wrote all day. Second time was the Bombay Festival. There was a jury at that time, and it was for, we had to see international films from all over the world. We didn't have a chance to see Indian films. And this time we're seeing films from Uzbekistan, Lebanon, Persia, China, different countries. I had a chance to see Indian films, of course, like anybody in France at the Cinémathèque. I know all the films of Satyajit Ray, and lately opened a big tribute to your cinema in November called Indomania. So I saw several films. But I can't say there's a change in your industry. I don't have enough knowledge.
What kind of challenges is European cinema confronting with the invasion of American television, American culture? There was an effort in France to sort of restrain the amount of American programs you could see on television. How has that impacted culture and film? Well,
the government can do something, but laws never stop anything. And what the importance of American cinema has brought to Europe, it's a sense of competition. I think that French cinema relied too much on the so-called spirit of the new wave, of which I was part in the 60s. Now life goes on and the cinema has to have a new flow, to be a little more original. And we have new talents that are very interesting, young men and young women. And besides, I'm president of an organization called Equinox. And every equinox, 2 times a year, we have meetings with scriptwriters from all over the world, mixing Americans and Europeans, and working on special projects that we have selected to improve the scripts. Because I think the weaknesses of European films are stories. And of course you know that the state backs the production in France. There is an organization called National Center of Cinema. And when I was president in 1993, the same year I read 527 scripts. We have to choose. We have 2 colleges, one for first films, one for directors who have worked already. And we can give big amounts of money to support the production, to start the production, let's say.
To what degree does the patronage of the state, you think, influence or impact the kind of films that are produced?
It doesn't influence the content of the film. It's deliberately, completely neutral. We decide, the colleges, which film have to be helped. And then these films sometimes are co-produced by television, French television, or if they have other countries contributing. For example, besides France, if there is Switzerland, Italy, or Germany, Spain, that makes 3 countries they can submit their project to the European funds in Strasbourg and get some more money. But we don't interfere with the content, the story, whatever. It's total freedom.
You're really, in some senses, most familiar to people in India for your work with the New Wave film directors starting with the 60s. How would you, to a young filmmaker today, how would you describe that special sensibility?
I wouldn't explain him anything. He has to learn by himself.
How would you describe it to someone who didn't know?
You don't describe that sort of thing. Because to tell what the New Wave was about, one must know of the films that were made before, because the New Wave, these young men decided to react against a certain sort of cinema, you know? So that's why I say they have to discover themselves. One has to be a cinema buff. One has to see lots of films. Not meaning that you have to copy the past, but it's good to know and decide what is good for you or not good, what you like or what you dislike. And what is an artist? Jean Cocteau used to say, we are stealing all the time. We are stealing from nature, we are stealing from human beings, their passions, their frailness, their emotions. We are stealing from books we've read and we have the impression we forgot. We are stealing from our past, our childhood, or maybe some stories people told us, you know. We gather. We like a big Hoover. When we are in the state of creation, we gather anything, you know, and make it our own, and then make a film.
You make films too, and you know, while you started off as an actress, you've more than graduated
first,
on
yes.
stage. You've more than graduated to being a filmmaker. How has that transition from being from front of the camera to behind the camera impacted you? Has that made you a better actress, you think?
I don't know if it made me a better actress. I think life made me a better actress. All the things I've been through, I experienced myself and I saw other people experience. And to go from the front of the camera to the back of the camera, it has to be a decision that grows inside of you. And the first time I spoke to Orson Welles about it, and he said to me, well, listen, you know, my dear, when you feel that you cannot live without doing this film, then you should do it. But the need has to be very, very violent, you know. Don't make a film just for the fun of making a film. And of course for a woman it's different, you know. The obstacle can come from inside ourselves because of education. And even if the world outside is not threatening, because nobody stops a woman from making a film. But there are habits, there are things, women sometimes are victims of cliches. And then once you've been over that, then you have to find the money, okay? Write the story, and then on the set, that's where you have to be the leader. And usually as an actor or an actress, you're looked after. You say, just relax, just don't worry. When we need you, we'll call you, and you know, and you're not too tired. And when you become a director, you are the one who has to worry about anybody, about technicians, about the crew, about the actors, the actresses, and you have to worry about the money you're spending, the time you're spending, and it's quite an exercise. But once you've tasted, you like it. I like it.
You mentioned, you quoted Orson Welles and said that when the need was violent. Is there a significance to the word violent there?
Well, violent, it's when it's become obsessing, you know? When it doesn't go at the back of your mind and you forget about it. It's when you start to have your little notebook in your pocket and writing notes, and you go around and you watch people and you think, oh God, in that scene, You write it down. You listen to music, you think, oh, if I could have this equivalent, or the pace, or changes, objects, colors, things. So it becomes an obsession, you know?
When you're putting together the idea of a story, what is the process that goes into it? You know, you're reacting to images, ideas, and you said music and sounds and things like that. When does it sort of begin to come together, or do you start with the skeleton of a story and then look for components?
Well, it depends. The first two films I directed were original stories. The one I'm going to direct at the end of this year, and it will overlap, 1997, it's based on a novel already existing. It's been written by an American writer called Joyce Carol Oates. She's teaching at the same time at Princeton University. So for the moment being, I write down notes, but I'm going to work with her. I'll be in the States the third week of February. So we'll have talks, and beyond the story that she wrote, I want to add things that do not exist yet, and the viewer needs to know. Each film has its own personal process. And my trip in India feeds this film too. It's very funny.
Are you able to identify in what ways it might do that?
How India can...
Yeah, feeds this film.
Because one of the characters is a painter. And she has said that she traveled a lot. And I can't imagine, for that sort of character, this woman who went to many, many places, I can't believe that she didn't come to India. And when you come to India, you don't go back without anything in your luggage. I don't talk about material goods. I speak about other profound things.
What are some of these profound things that you...
I can't tell. They're secrets. They're personal. If I say words, they'll be conventional. So many things have been said about India, written about India. It's inside. It's not that I want to keep it secret. It's just that I wouldn't find the words to express it. I think that any powerful, knowledgeable human being has to come to India once in his life to know what life is about. I think so.
Do you think it has something to do with the spiritual quality that Indians have?
Of the humanity and the spiritual. Yeah.
In your career, you worked with so many well-known directors, Fassbinder, Roger Vadim, Truffaut, Buñuel. It's a long list, and perhaps a difficult question, Buñuel. What impressed you most about the person you admire the most?
There's none. I needed them all. There's none I prefer. You know, life is like a beautiful piece of material with glittering colors and subdued, other colors are subdued. It's a mixture, it changes all the time. And the thread of your life is the same. And these men with whom I work, they're part of my pattern, my life.
Were there women too?
The only woman I worked with was Marguerite Duras, the French writer who directed films. But you know, men artists, have feminine qualities. When I think of artists, I don't think in terms of men or women. It's a third gender. Do
you think that applies to actresses too?
Yeah, there's something masculine too in an actress.
What is that masculine quality?
Energy.
It's an impossible question to associate with you.
Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there is a convention, you say, oh, this is so feminine and this is so masculine. To be an actress and to stay on, and you have to have that strong curiosity, you have to have that the energy, you have to have a lot of power.
How does an actress go about preparing for a role?
I can't tell. Why do you say an actress? I can only speak about myself.
How do you go about preparing for a role?
comes in.
You read a script,
Yeah.
and then you sort of, do you look,
Sometimes there were no scripts. You get ready for it and prepare your suitcase as though you were going to travel someplace where you've never been. And you play it by ear, day by day. You read your lines before you go to sleep, put them under your pillow. You're sure to wake up and you know them by heart. If the director doesn't change everything the day after, I don't have any special...
and does it happen sometimes that you sort of set out on this journey and you come out at the other end, and it is in the end that you thought you might be heading for?
Well, there is a different end. Let's say there are two. I enjoy whatever I do, and if the result is disappointing, that's one thing. But I never come out empty-handed, because working with a crew, you know, you cannot make a film without the help of others. So you come out with something important.
And whose sort of response or appreciation is then important for you? You know, when you see your own performance on the finished screen,
My inner voice, that inner voice that knows immediately, and close friends. And I'm beyond that idea of good performance and not good performance.
In what way? Could you...
Because I know one doesn't have to perform. I know that since quite a long time. One has to let go.
You went to drama school
Yeah,
and trained very briefly before you. Was that an impediment then in some ways to have this sort of structured approach to acting, and later on in your career you just...
That was great, because my dream was to be an actress on stage. It was the theater. And the way I was trained was marvelous. Very powerful, strong, strict discipline. And I have a very, very good memory. I love to study. And I was crazy learning parts and huge scenes, and then for 4 years I was in the Comédie-Française, that is the equivalent of the Shakespeare Company. You know, that's the big, big theater in Paris. Tradition, discipline, respect of hierarchy, and it taught me a lot, really a lot. And then I forgot everything, but I'm always ready for anything, because I was trained that way. Yeah, I think that I'm like a soldier, ready to go, because discipline.
You've also been a singer, and you've of some repute. So which part of you feel is sort of the more important to you?
Everything. A human being is made of all sorts of things, and you have God's gifts, and you have to use them all. Otherwise, you're wrong. Life is given to you to use whatever has been given. If you leave aside something that you could have made, you know, like a seed, you could have planted, and so nothing flourishes, that's a sin. You have to take care of all the seeds that were given to you.
So what seeds do you think were given to you?
A lot.
Well, which are the principal ones?
I don't know. People from the outside can tell, I don't know.
Well, what are the seeds that you feel if you hadn't planted and nurtured, it would be a sin? Because that's a fairly strong sense of...
I'm responsible, yeah, for my life. You know, I think I did my best. Some other things to do yet.
What are these things to do yet?
I don't know. Somebody tell me, I don't know yet.
So what happens? Is this an inner voice that tells you, or is it...
Yes. And people I meet on the way.
So what do you go back to now, while you wait for the inner voice to give you the sort of the major...
I don't wait for the inner voice. You know, it's not dramatic. That's something that develops in any human beings with time. You know, people are so afraid of age, and age is a rare privilege, you know. What I do, I work, I see my friends, I cook, I read, I travel, I speak with you, I look at your crew, I enjoy myself, I sleep, I worry, all sorts of things.
What is this privilege of age?
It's all the things you know, all the doors open to you. We're so marvelous, it's so marvelous. I'm invited here.
Surely that's beyond the privilege of age.
No, not at all. Not at all. You don't ask an actress of 35 years old to be president of a jury. You don't ask an actress of 40 years old to be president of the commission that distributes the money from the state. It's because I have a certain knowledge, and they hope I have a certain wisdom. And I know that even if I have a little wisdom, I'm crazy enough to be creative.
And you go back to France, and what do you do? Did you have a sense of what you do in that time frame, perhaps?
Well, I know what I'm going to do, yes. I'm going back to France. I have 2 more days shooting Ready Smile Merchant for the film we made last summer, The Proprietor. Then I'll go to the States to work, but I have a family gathering, I have other things to do. I've written about French love songs. I have to meet my publisher and choose the miniature and everything before it is published. I have another publisher I have to meet. All sorts of things.
Well, good luck, and thank you very much for your time and this privilege and opportunity.
Well, I thank you very much. I enjoyed very much talking with you.